Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. Whoops. Because, guys, my favorite Ohuhu color has run out. My favorite color, I don't even know its name. Pastel Blue PB7 is my favorite color, and since it ran out, it got me thinking about how much ink these Ohuhu markers have. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this color. This is a color I have never used in my set. It is YR3 Orange, and I want to see how much ink is in this marker. So let's take a look. And so this video is inspired by Mira Byler, who was also inspired by Super Rae Dizzle, who did the original how much ink does a Copic marker have, and like how many pages does it fill. And then Mira Byler did the original Ohuhu marker to see how much that marker had in ink. So since Ohuhu released the brush markers, I figure let me see if there's any difference. And so we're not using just any old paper. We're using the Express It blending card paper. Y'all ask me a ton of times what paper do I use when it comes to coloring with my alcohol markers. It is more than likely this brand. Sometimes I use Strathmore, but it's usually this one. And so with this paper, it's not gonna soak up a whole ton of ink, which I feel will give you guys an accurate representation of how much ink is in these Ohuhu markers. And since these are brush markers, I'm going to go ahead and use the brush marker side. And I'm going to outline the edges really quick just to make this like kind of easier. There we go. It's so beautifully bright. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And so what I love so much about these Ohuhu brush markers is definitely the ink flow. And I think that's one of the things that really just blew my mind, because most brush markers that I've used, the ink flow, it's good, but kind of not as juicy. But that also got me wondering about how much ink is in these Ohuhus, considering the ink comes out so fast and it is just gliding across this paper. So now I'm just covering in any little nooks and crannies that I may have missed, because I definitely want to make sure I cover the entire page. All right, page 1 is completed. Look at all that beautiful color. This is actually really painful to be doing. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Okay, anyways. On to the next page. And like before, I'm just going to go ahead and outline the edges. The cool thing about this video is I'm really getting to test the limits of the brush nibs of these Ohuhu markers. And I get asked a lot about the firmness of the brush nib. Like, is it too firm? Is it too flimsy? What's the deal? And it's firm, but not super firm. You can definitely get these nice, good lines going, and it's quite flexible enough. I personally tend to like the firmness only because I feel like it gives me better control over where I'm putting my lines, but that's just me. And the other cool thing is, since it's been done before with the original Ohuhu markers by Mira Byler, I'm very, very curious to see how many pages I end up getting with this marker, considering that Mira got 10 pages, I think she said, maybe 9.5. So I guess you could say that's my goal. Like, I'm really hoping it lasts me to about the same amount of Mira's. All right, second page is done. Let's see how it compares to the first. Pretty much identical, so that's good to know. We at least know that this marker will stay super saturated for at least 2 full pages worth. Let's move on to page 3. I don't know if it's showing too much, but I am starting to feel a drier sensation. Like when I first started, this marker was juicy, and it's being just a little stubborn with me right now. And I also just wanted to do this video because I know there are those out there who are interested in knowing how much ink there is in this marker, especially when they are non-refillable. And I just feel like that's a very fair question. Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely getting a little drier here. All right, gonna switch it up and go to the chisel nib side. And the chisel nib side is still extremely juicy. So we'll keep on this side for just a bit. All right, that completes page 3. Let's see the comparison. 2 and 1. And yeah, this one's getting a little bit more streaky. I'm still getting some really good color, definitely in the beginning. Towards the second half, we're getting just a bit lighter. So let's keep going. This is actually really satisfying to do. I can't quite explain it. just going down the paper in this fluid-like motion, drawing, well, straight-ish lines. I don't know, it's just satisfying to me. Going back to the whole refill issue though, despite the Ohuhus not being refillable, they do run on the same color system as Touch Twin, I believe the markers are called, which is by Shinhan. And so basically Shinhan makes Shinhan ink that you can buy in order to refill your Ohuhu markers, and it'll be the same colors. And from what I understand, you can refill pretty much with any sort of alcohol marker ink. A lot of people in the comments tell me, oh, but you can also use Copic refills to refill your Ohuhu markers, which isn't a bad idea, but you gotta be a really good color matcher. And not only that, but Various ink by Copic cost a lot too. So, I mean, if you're gonna purchase cheap markers, but then you're gonna purchase expensive refill ink, I personally don't understand that, but to each their own. All right, that completes page 4. Getting a little nervous here, not gonna lie. So I think what I'm gonna do is let this rest for just a second before I start page 5. So, all right, I went ahead and let it rest for a bit. Let's do a quick comparison. This is our first page. This is our most recent page. Big difference. Let's move on. All right, so this is our 5th page, and after having it rest for a bit, it was juicy for a second. All right, I'm gonna switch to the brush end again, just to see. Oh, okay, all right, okay. Ink has returned a bit, really having to press kind of hard. And it looks like I'm like skipping and gapping a lot, but I'm really not, because the brush nib is going over and it's touching the other side of the line, but it's just not filling it. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, page 5 is complete. This is getting rough. Comparison time. Page 1, page 5. But we're gonna keep going because I want to get all the ink out of this marker. All right, starting page 6. Ugh, the squeak. Well, that wasn't too bad actually. I'm just surprised I'm still getting some ink out of this. Like, it is just not giving up, which is good. Definitely not a bad thing. I'm also glad I went with this really bright color as opposed to my favorite color that ran out already, which is the light blue. No, pastel blue is what it was. Because I feel like if I had used that color, this wouldn't be showing up as well. Ooh, we are definitely coming to the end sometime soon, I feel, because this color is getting super light, which is funny since Ohuhu is so known for their super vibrant colors. I generally prefer pastel kind of colors, so I guess running my markers dry can be a way that I can get lighter colors. Ho ho ho. No, that's bad advice. Don't take that advice. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the brush and see if I get anything different. Gosh, it starts out like so good. Like, look at that color in comparison to what I was getting on the chisel nib. I have to hold the paper down because the nib is starting to like grip the paper. It's so dry. And there's page 6. Comparison time, woo! Oh my goodness, that's nuts. But we are not dry yet. We still have ink. On to page 7. Oh, the color came back just a little bit on the chisel nib. I'm proud of you, chisel nib. I'm proud of you. Ooh, gosh. Getting some real squeakabilities over here. Ooh. All right, well, this is just ridiculous. I don't know, is it gonna last? I'm unsure. I'm currently taking bets, y'all. What y'all think? Well, let's take a look at the nibs now again. So this poor nib has actually shortened in size. Like, pushing it so hard, it's just going right into the marker, just disappearing on me. And then my poor chisel nib is kind of getting flattened out a bit. All right, I'm gonna switch back to chisel. Oh, look at that burst of color. Who'da thunk? And then it runs out like 2 seconds right after. All right, so this is page, what page is this again? 7. This is page 7. Comparison time. Unnecessary, really, in my opinion. But yeah, this is, yeah, I don't even have words. Anyways, let's move on to page 8 because I want to get this sucker completely dry. But first, 5-second break. All right, and we're back after the little break. Start with the chisel. do my border. Okay, we got some color back. Not much, but good enough. Oh, look. Oh, well. Oh, look. It's literally at the end. We are reaching the end, y'all, and look at this nib. I mean, granted, I'd call it done by now because the reality is you're not going to be this ferocious with the ink. You probably would have chucked it about a page or two ago. Woo, beautiful. I can't even close the cap on it. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the brush marker side. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm getting the faintest of ink. Yeah, that's it. That's that. Should we do a comparison? Is that even necessary at this point? I don't even know. I have destroyed an Ohuhu marker and I cannot fit the chisel nib cap on, but it's all good. That's that. I'm calling it done. And so here's the juiciness of the first page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I almost said 8, but not quite. Not really. It's more like 7.5. And that's that. So it didn't quite reach the 9 pages, but I feel like that's to be expected. The ink flow on the brush nib is just really good, and I'm sorry for using this as a reference. I shouldn't be using that marker anymore. Let me get a different one. But yeah, I feel like it's to be expected that it would have been less pages. I mean, the ink flow on the brush nib is just really good. I like that. I think that it's one of the highlights for me as far as these markers go, is how much ink you get out on this brush nib side, because it makes for easier blending, in my opinion. So that's that. I'm honestly just surprised I reached this many pages. For reference, when Super Rae Dizzle did the Copic, I think it filled 5 pages, I believe, maybe 6, I can't remember. But I feel Ohuhu did really well, and I'm very surprised. So I really hope that despite the destruction of this marker, I hope you found this video informative and helped you understand how much ink is in an Ohuhu brush marker. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.